Hello, my dear friends in Christ. How are you doing? This is your servant, Father Anthony, coming your way again. I believe God is still blessing you and is still keeping you well. Today, as we move on with the Lenten season, let's talk about love. Sometimes we ask ourselves, the other people are making it. How come that we are not receiving the love that God has promised us, especially for Christians like you and me? Can there ever be love if it's not mutual? This is what we're going to talk about today. So, my dear friends, God so loved the world so that He gave His only Son. People give testimonies of the Lord's Son and the love of God to us. But you and I sometimes lack this. Is it because we are failing? It's all because of the mutuality. So today let us consider 5 key points with which you can establish yourself in the love of God so that you can equally bear testimony in this our season of grace. Do you know that God's love is unchangeable? Go with me to Psalm 89, verse 2. And I declare that your love stands firm forever. So God's love is firm, unchangeable. What about your love to God? Is it firm and unchangeable? Or situations come and you change? How do you expect God then to connect with your love? Point number 2, know that God's love is personal, is directed to you. Is your love personal, directed to God? The mutual aspect is what I'm talking about. If you read with me to Isaiah chapter 43 verse 1, He calls you by name. Do you call God by His name? Mutuality is what I'm talking about. So the next point I want to talk about is how God will always sacrifice for you and for me. Do we sacrifice for God our time, our energies, whatever it is that we have, our beauties? Do we sacrifice it to God? If you read Romans chapter 8, verses 31 and 32, He sacrificed and gave His only Son. What have you sacrificed for God? What am I sacrificing for God? The next point, God's love is redemptive. If you read with me Ephesians chapter 1, verses 4 to 5, God tells us how He chose us to be blameless before Him, and He destined us to be with His Son. Are you really considering your connection with God as redemptive? Are you ready to be connected to Him one day? How serious are you about it? Think about this. And let's go to the next point. People say that God's love sometimes cannot be reached, especially when we are in trouble. But I want to assure you that God's love is unbreakable. If you read Romans chapter 8, verses 37 to 39, nothing can separate us from the love of God, not even death. But sometimes you and I, we break up from Him. It separates us. Lust, love, unforgiveness, conditions around us, and yet we are expecting God's love to be sustained. Again, do you know that God's love is self-initiative? Read with me 1 John chapter 4 verses 19. He loved us first. Do you wake up every morning and love God first? Do you think about Him rising from your bed and you're expecting God to love you? These are the things I want to draw your attention to. So now let's go over again. So my dear friends, as we move through this season of grace, can you claim the love of God for yourself? If it is yes, it is on one condition. He gave, there must be a reception. There must be some mutuality. If God's love is unbreakable, Are you going to love God no matter what? If God's love is personal, do you have a real personal love for God? Can you say that He is the one and the only? If God's love is sacrificial, how well are you sacrificing your time, your attention, your talent, and everything? If God's love is redemptive, how prepared are you to be saved? Because God cannot save you without you. If God's love is self-initiative, will you wake up every morning and think about how to beat God, to love? Think about this. That I believe that if you are able to sacrifice, to be unbreakable, to learn no matter what to love God, that is where the love of God will be manifested in your life. This is something I want you to think about, reflect about, pray about, and live it. God bless you. I'm happy you listened to me, and I'll see you again next time. May God bless you. May His favor shine upon you, and may His blessing be upon you every second of your life. See you again.